Informational versus transformational learning. Now, these words here, you've probably heard them used by other speakers, and I use them to make these specific points, of which I'll reveal here in just a moment. However, it is critical to understand the meaning of these two, because these are things that all human beings on the planet are exposed to. Doesn't matter your culture, doesn't matter your background, everyone goes through these. The two are informational versus transformational. Let me explain. Informational learning. This is what most people are used to when they talk about learning. It's what you're doing right now. You're sitting here listening to me. Your brain is going wild on, gosh, does this guy know what he's talking about? Is he full of it? Whatever the case may be. However, it's a matter of taking in information and processing it, or at least attempting to process it. But just think of all of those times where you've been, whether to a church meeting or an inspirational workshop, or someone has said something that you just go, oh my gosh, that's it. That's the thing I've been looking for. And it just hits you like a ton of bricks. It just hits you with all this inspiration and you get excited. Now, let me ask you a very sobering question. How long does that last? Where are you 72 hours later after you have that feeling? Most of the time, if you're a human being, which I'm sure you are, you have a feeling of, gosh, where did it go? Why do I not feel that feeling anymore? Well, this is informational learning. Let me put this up here on the screen here so you can see. See these people on here, how they're happy, they're sad. They're happy, they're sad. Well, this is what we go through during our lifetimes. We hear something, we're happy, doesn't go our way, we're sad, and we have all these ups and downs. Well, here's the key. Here's another one of your keys. Unless action is taken on that thought that you have, nothing happens. Nothing will change. It's not enough to just have a thought. Because a lot of us beat ourselves up where we go, man, I learned this wonderful thing, but yet it didn't change anything, so I'm just going to give up and go right back to the way I was. However, I want to introduce you to this next form of learning that I refer to as transformational learning. Now, transformational learning is just a fancy way of saying learning by doing. This is the natural learning system that you're born with. Every human being on the planet is born with this. You start out, you're a baby, you have other people taking care of you, but as time goes on, you start to gain this awareness. You start to see things around you. You see people moving. And that little brain of ours is going, well, these people are moving. Well, I want to move too. And at some point, we see something from where we're at to the other side of the room, and we go, I've got to figure out a way. And we watch this with our little babies learning how to crawl. Some of them crawl using traditional methods on hands and knees. The other ones, what do? The old army scoot. You even have some that scoot backwards. But the reality is we see something on the other side of the room there, and we want to go for it. We want to get to it. And so that's what our brains are trying to figure out. Well, what if we gave up the first time we did a nosedive into the carpet when we're learning how to crawl? Just think of what the world would look like if that ever happened, that people gave up that early in life. We'd have people laying all over the ground and going, I tried to crawl once and it didn't work. Okay, but we don't stop. We see something and we keep doing it until we get it. Then when we start to learn to walk, what happens? Oh yeah, we fall over how many times? We'll fall over, hit our head on the coffee table or whatever. We cry for a minute, but what do? We don't give up. We see, I want to learn to walk. Everybody else is. I'm going to do that. And we keep doing what we've got to do until we get it right. Later on, when you start learning how to ride a bicycle, how is it? Are you perfect the first time you do it? No. You fall over a few times, but after a while, your brain develops and goes, oh, I can do this. I got it figured out now, but we never stop. Now, this transformational learning, again, it's part of who we are. But something happens between the age of 8 and 12. It happens to our brains, where we start to gain a whole nother level of awareness, and we start to hear what other people are saying about us in particular, and we start to internalize that. And that slows us down. We start to hear things like we're stupid, we're slow, you can't do that right. We look at our spelling tests maybe in class and we see that the guy next to us has 100% with a bunch of stars with a big smiley face saying, way to go. Well, you get your paper back and it's all marked up in red. And, oh, you could have done better with a 64% and a big frowny face. You need to apply yourself. Well, after a while, we start comparing ourselves to other people. And we see that they're getting success and we're not. Well, again, that starts to play on us and we start to think, well, can I do this? Maybe I can't. Maybe I wasn't born to do something like that. Maybe I'm not that smart. Okay? Well, the reality is yes, you have all of those smarts if you would have just taken the next step and continue on until you overcame that challenge and actually learned to do it, whether it's learning how to do a new skill. Okay, but I want you to understand this transformational learning is still inside of you. And you have to, every time you learn that or get that feeling in the informational phase where you go, oh my gosh, this is something I want to do. Then you need to take the steps in order to do it. Is it going to be difficult? Yes. Remember what we talked about just a little bit earlier in a previous segment with fear. Okay, that's going to stop us as well. But at some point, we have to tell ourselves, this is something I want to do, and I need to take the action in order to do it. And I need to do it over and over again until I get it right, until I become good at it. Okay? That's transformational learning. Just know that you have that. Stop beating yourself up thinking you don't have the talent or the skill. It's a matter of doing. If you do it, you'll become good at it. It's just a reality that is. It's a truth. Okay? So, this next slide here, understand there is no such thing as failure. I guess we can debate that a little bit and say, okay, maybe if we just totally give up and stop, maybe that's failure. I don't know. But in my opinion, there is no such thing as failure. As we're going through these things in life, through these experiences, all we're doing is looking for things that work for us and things that don't. All right. However, if we never put forth the effort, we're never going to find out. There is no such thing as failure. You put yourself out there and do something that you haven't done before, you're going to learn one of two things. You're going to learn that it's something you just didn't want to do anyway, or you're going to realize, you know what, if I had just by putting myself out there and putting in the time and effort to do it, I'm able to accomplish it. So informational versus transformational learning. Start kicking in that transformational learning. That's where your key to success is.